Joey, let's jump back to New Year's Eve in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, where Miami beats Ohio State 24-14. What does this loss say about the Big Ten for Ohio State?
I don't know that it says much about the Big Ten. It says that Ohio State went into a game against a Miami team that was playing with a lot of confidence. They dominated up front. Those defensive ends, Bain Jr. and Messidor, just absolutely ruined the first half at least, setting their offense up to be in a position to run the ball, be patient. I think that Carson Beck was a guy that we knew had to play well to beat Ohio State, and he went 14 of 18 in the first half, which when you compare that to the week before against Texas A&M, he had 14 completions in the entire game against A&M. And so he played a smart game. They did a nice job with their play calling, and their defense got the stops they needed. You get to the second half, and Miami's ability to run the ball, especially at the end when they were trying to put the game away, was just amazing.
I mean, when you look at that game, Joey, the thing that stands out to me was that Miami felt more talented than Ohio State. And you think about Ohio State's run last year through the College Football Playoff, it was all about those transfers or those highly recruited guys like Jack Sawyer who stayed for 4 to 5 years, and then Jeremiah Smith becoming a star and ascending late. It was all about those people sort of showing up for them when you saw the athleticism at Ohio State was different than every other school. I didn't feel that last night. You already mentioned Bain and the defensive ends and the way they attack. Fletcher being able to get downhill, especially late in that game, but also the secondary of Miami outside of the large post or the huge post to Jeremiah Smith. They seemed as athletic or more talented on the outside at the safety positions than Ohio State. And we haven't seen that for Ohio State in the entire season. Even when you think about Texas, there were individual players who you felt flashed for Texas, but their quarterback, Arch Manning, wasn't ready to go. You go to losing a game against Indiana and a team that doesn't have half of the 4 stars that you have, none of the 5 stars that you have, and it felt like the game was fast for Ohio State. So when you think about the Big Ten and the way that they recruit and who decides to go to those schools, I think outside of Ohio State, it is starting to be an extremely lukewarm talent pool for the Big Ten, and it showed to me once they got punched in the mouth last night.
You know what? It's interesting to me. I felt the same way. Coming into the game, we talked about the roster of Ohio State, the guys that would be in the top 15 picks, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you watch that game, you didn't get that feel. You didn't get the sense of the guys that would be first rounders for Ohio State outside of Jeremiah Smith, who had an amazing game. But I'm saying defensively, some of those guys where you thought those guys have to show up the same way that Messidor did, the same way that Bain Jr. did. It didn't come across in that game. We'll see what happens, RC. You do the NFL, so we'll see what happens when the draft comes up. But if you watched the game last night, you did not get the feel that there were more first-round guys on the Ohio State defense than on the Miami defense.
So, Joe, I think that was the most disappointing part for me is, number one, also looking at Miami and how those players sold out. You look at the wide receivers blocking in the run game and how you had Malachi Toney blocking safeties and C.J. Daniels blocking safeties. And these are guys that are supposed to be, premier perennial picks in the NFL draft coming up in 2026. I just thought from a physical standpoint, Maui Noah and how he dominated as an offensive lineman, that entire offensive line versus that defensive line. When I'm looking at I'm looking at McKinley Jackson, also Arvell Reese. All those guys, in my opinion, they played no factor in that ball game last night. So when I'm looking at Miami, they basically line up and said, you know what? We have the better athletes because we are Miami. We have the most physical football team in which they showed. For them to line up Mark Fletcher and run the football effectively like they've done all season long in that matchup versus Ohio State, who have the 5-star to 4-star guys and the guys supposed to be top picks, was disappointing to me. But I also felt like Ryan Day didn't do his quarterback any justice, dropping back and passing the football in the first half when he should have been handing the football off, protecting his quarterback more so than putting him in that situation.
So Ohio State was the 2 seed in this game, and we know that in the 12-team CFP era, teams that have that first-round bye haven't done so well. 4 of those 5 games that we've seen from the last 2 years, have been by double-digit losses, including the one we saw last night. So, Joey, is having a top 4 seed a disadvantage in this version of the CFP?
Well, we keep picking the team that has the bye to get a win, and it just hasn't happened yet. We'll find out today if that continues. But honestly, I felt really good about the Ohio State game. I felt really good about Georgia and Texas Tech. I feel good about Indiana. And we're going to find out what happens. It didn't work out for the first 5 teams that have had a bye so far in these 2 seasons. But today could flip everything. But again, when you look at especially the Indiana game out here against Alabama in this weather, this could change everything. It is raining. I couldn't believe how hard it is still raining from yesterday. So we'll see if the weather holds. It could affect the game here. But I expect the teams that have had the bye to get a win. We'll see what happens.
If Kalen DeBoer and the Crimson Tide lose this game, does he get a pass?
A pass? No. He's at Indiana. He's the head coach. He's at Alabama. That's a prestige organization, or I should say program. Kalen DeBoer would never get a pass for just making the college football playoffs. The expectation and the standard will always be national championship. I understand Nick Saban set that standard, and Nick Saban is a different coach than a lot more. But just because Nick Saban isn't there doesn't mean the standard should change. The standard should always be national championship when you look at this program and this organization in Alabama. Now, I think this game is going to be a little bit more closer than people give it credit for. I like the adjustments that I've seen Alabama make in the second half against the quarterback for Oklahoma and pressuring him and forcing the issue. And I love what I've seen from Ty Simpson, orchestrating things at the line of scrimmage and throwing the football. But we also got to remember, it is raining out there in California right now. That leans towards Indiana, in my opinion, with that run game that they have. They have a 3-headed monster at running back. I speak of 2, Hemby and you look at Black. Those guys can be very physical at the point of attack. And I think Indiana's one of the most well-balanced football teams in college football, and I don't think they get all of the credit that they deserve for being so.
Harry, you're right. There is no such thing as a pass nowadays in college football or NFL football. There is no such thing as a pass. Ryan Day won't get a pass in Columbus, and he won a national championship last season. But in Columbus, Ohio today, he will not get a pass. And so Kalen DeBoer, and now I don't buy into he was going to go to Michigan. They were going to move on from him if he lost to Oklahoma. I don't buy into any of that. But I do know that there is absolutely not a pass given to anybody, regardless of what happens, how you win, how you lose. If you don't win it all in today's world, there's no pass. The seats in college football get hot after about 2 seasons. Kalen DeBoer is on his 2nd season there, and it hasn't been terrible to Alabama. He's coming behind Nick Saban and what Nick Saban did, but he's been successful. He's in the playoff right now. They won in the first round. They're here at the Rose Bowl. And if they lose this game, he will not get a pass. His seat will be extremely hot. And in this world now, because of the social media and the access and everyone having a voice, everyone will come after him. And they'll talk about every single job that opens up. Is he going to leave Alabama and go to Michigan? That doesn't make any sense anywhere in the world except in college football now. When these jobs open, when you don't win national championships, you are automatically in the conversation of, will you lose your job if you lose? I don't think that happens with Kalen DeBoer. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this game. I agree with you, Harry, in the fact that Indiana probably has a better ability to run the football. We've been talking about Alabama running the football all season long. They just can't do it. In a game like today, in this kind of weather, they're going to have to find a way to move the ball because Ty Simpson and that offense hasn't looked great in the last month. They have to find a way to fix those issues. But there will absolutely not be a pass if he loses. He didn't lose his job, but there will be some heat applied.
Why are we burying the lead because Courtney's sitting here? Because y'all watched her walk in with that IU sweater? They playing Indiana. And I get it. I think Kurt Cignetti is a Mickey Ficky ball coach. And the way that this team seems prepared every single week is absolutely phenomenal. But it's still Indiana. It's still a basketball school, and they ain't even that good at that no more. Bobby Knight ain't coaching no more, God rest. Guys, nobody in Alabama looks at Indiana's schedule and says to themselves, this is a blue chip team. This is the no stars versus the 5 stars. This is the blue chippers versus the chips on the shoulders. And hell yeah, Kalen DeBoer's seat is going to be hot because look at all this we got you. Look at all the NIL that we brought to you. Look at all the people that are on your team as opposed to the people that's on their team. Hell yeah, you supposed to win. They're going to look at, oh, you beat Iowa. Oh, you beat Oregon. We saw what Ohio State is. They're going to feel like in Alabama that this team hasn't played the sort of schedule that they've played, that they don't have the sort of players on their team that they have. And if he doesn't win, hell yeah, the seat is hot because you're supposed to beat Indiana. They ain't done enough in the Not in my mind. I think they're a great team. They haven't done enough in the perception of the people who love college football, who are historians, who are traditionalists, to say that you're supposed to go out and beat Alabama and they don't care if you rank number 1.
Perception's different than reality. The Oregon win was a big win. The Penn State win was a big win. Those are wins that battle-tested team that happens
Courtney
to
gonna
be
stick up for
number
IU.
1 team in the CFP bank. And they lose their conference championship. They still stay in there at number 9. That's cool. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But before I get too heated, let's pick these 3 games today, starting with Ole Miss and Georgia. Which team takes the game, Joey?
I like Georgia, but they're a team that's coming off of a bye. I know that last week Ole Miss was excited to get back on the football field because all we had talked about was Lane Kiffin leaving, and they came back and they looked great against Tulane. We've watched this matchup early in the season. Trinidad Chambliss was terrific for 3 quarters, and then they couldn't finish it off, and Georgia came back. I think this is a different Georgia team that's playing as well as anyone in the country right now. I love their defense. Gunnar Stockton was amazing in the second half against Ole Miss before. I like Georgia to win.
Yeah, I'm going to go Georgia as well. It's the 3-headed monster that can run the football. It's Nate Frazier, it's Bowens, and it's also Gunnar Stockton, who has over 400 yards rushing and 8 rushing touchdowns this season. But also that defense, it's imperative now that you get Trinidad Chambliss in 3rd and longs. That was the difference in their first matchup, right, in the 4th quarter. 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. They were able to get stops. 1st and 2nd down production on defense. I think Georgia wins this one.
Yeah, I believe Georgia as well. You look at Georgia, the way they were able to play in the second half of that game, find ways to get stopped, but they were unstoppable offensively. And I believe since then, this offense has played better, but some of those young players on the defensive side of the ball have started to come into their potential for Kirby Smart in that defense.
Okay, Harry, real quick. Oregon, Texas Tech.
I'm going with Texas Tech, and it's because of their defense. They're 2 bookends when you look at Romello Height and then also David Bailey, who's 2nd in college football right now, sacking the quarterback. But they have guys at all 3 levels on defense, defensive line, linebacker, and then also in their secondary. And don't sleep on their wide receivers. They have 3 really good ones, so I'm going with Texas Tech.
Yeah, I'm going with Texas Tech as well. When you watch that championship game and the way that you saw them not only swarming the quarterback but turning the football over, and their best player, who was a Heisman candidate as a defensive player, didn't even make those plays. I think Texas Tech suffocates this Oregon offense.
You want this, you got that.